everyone, welcome back to the channel CCUK Resin. And you probably think, what is he doing here? And you'd be right in thinking that. So I'm going to be doing another big experiment. Now, I found this in a charity shop and it cost me £8. And I didn't actually like the picture, but I liked the frame. And I've got a space in my bedroom above my bed where I wanted to create some resin art. So I thought I'm going to try using this frame. I'm going to try a bit of a fluid art technique with resin. Whether it works or not, I don't know. So you probably see I've already got some cups cut off. And the idea here is I've seen it's almost a puddle pour technique where this almost floats in paint. Whether it's going to work in resin or not, I don't know. I've got a few of my favorite colors at the side that we're going to mix and pour in these cups. But first of all, I think this is glass. So I'm just going to go around the edge with a little bit of UV resin. Hopefully that will seal that, so we don't get resin leaking everywhere. So I'm going to do that first, then I'm going to fast forward, mix up some resin, and then we're going to get to the fun part, hopefully. So I've just got some UV resin, and because obviously I don't want this all to leak out of this whole thing, because if it does that, I'm going to have issues with resin leaking everywhere. So I'm just going to try and get a thin trail just around the edge, because depth-wise, I don't want the resin to go much further than this anyway. So I'm just going to get a thin bead, hopefully going around the edge. And hopefully that is going to be enough to seal it in place so I don't get resin leaking absolutely everywhere. So that is my worst nightmare, trying something like this, is will it work, or am I just going to waste a load of resin, and is it going to flood my living room? And I'm just going to go around again, making sure I've got it in the gap between the glass and the frame. Then I'm going to cure this thin layer. Shouldn't need a lot. I just want to make sure there's enough completely covering this gap between the frame and this beading going around the edge of the frame. Then we're going to cure it, hopefully. And again, this is just a crazy experiment. Probably won't work, but we are going to find out. So I'm going to start anywhere I don't want it is going to come off. And then I'm just going to go around with my torch. And I can see some places it's not perfectly in the edge. So I'm just going to get a little plastic piece of card and make sure it is all the way in the edge. And then I might have to go around again with another thin layer. And this is the way that my mind works, guys. It's just about, if I have an idea, it stays in my head until I try it. And again, most of you would probably paint this first in acrylic paint, but I'm not even going to do that. I want to do this completely differently. And I want to try and do it in almost one pour and see what happens. Again, just using this plastic piece of card, hopefully scrape the resin into the edge. And then once I go around with the torch, this should seal it in, is the plan, and create a bit of a bond so that hopefully we don't leak resin everywhere. And I was thinking about doing tape or something like that, but overall, I don't want this piece to be more than a couple of mil thick anyway. So I thought that is probably A, a waste of time, and B, very fiddly. So all of this is going to get covered in resin anyway. So it doesn't have to be a perfect fit, as long as hopefully it's sealing that 1 mil gap between the glass and the frame. Let me know if you think this is going to work, or if you think I've gone a little bit too far and I've just gone a little bit crazy. As you can see, just using that UV resin, pushing it into the gaps, and then I'm going to go around with my torch and cure it, hopefully. There we go. Pretty confident that has now hopefully cured and created a bit of a barrier to stop resin leaking everywhere. And we'll find out in a minute. That's why I've got this giant blue sort of plastic sheet to protect my floor just in case. And I think this is going to take quite a bit of resin, especially to do the technique that I want. I think at least 600 mil for a thin layer is what I'm thinking. So I'm going to mix up 600 mil of the Apex high gloss resin. I'm not going to use a fast cure. I'm just going to use the standard high gloss, and that's what we're going to be using. I'm going to do 600 to 700 mil, and hopefully that'll be enough to just give us a first layer. And I'm thinking possibly a little bit more, actually. I'm thinking about a litre. I'm going to go for a litre. So I'm going to mix up a litre, and I'll see you in a sec. So here we go, guys. I've mixed up a litre of the resin. And I know automatically I'm going to need quite a bit of black, because that's what's going to be, I suppose, my base layer in this effect. So I'm going to use some of the resin. I'm going to just eyeball this about there, I think. But I don't want it, and I'm going to need quite a bit of white as well. because hopefully that's going to create a really cool contrast. But for the black, I don't want it to be just black. So I've got some metallic blue here, and I'm going to mix that in first. So it's going to be a dark blacky base. In fact, let me get some popsicle sticks, so I don't want to have to keep on wiping the stick every 2 seconds. And it's just a lot easier. I've got a good supply of these popsicle sticks. Thank you, Greg's. So I want to mix different things. I want to mix different pigments, micas, everything into this. So I'm just going to stir this around. And this was a cheap metallic blue that I got from Temu. And there's another blue that I got from Create and Bloom that's going to be going in this piece. But I just want a decent amount to hopefully colour the black a little bit. Not too much, but just enough to hopefully give us a bit of a not just black, if that makes sense. So I'm going to mix this around first. And I'm not putting this through the debubbler or anything like that. I'm not overly fussed because the way I'm pouring this, it's a lot of resin, but it's going over quite a flat surface, which will, if anything, it might delay the curing time. So there we go. That is a beautiful metallic blue, but I want it to be mainly black. So I'm now going to add some black resin dye pigment to that blue, which will really darken it up and hopefully give us a cool color, or it will just look black. Don't know at this point. So here we go. And that is going to be my first color, which is dark blacky blue, which I'm happy with. I really like that actually now. So it's given the blue's just given the black a little bit of a bluish hue, which is what I want. And that is probably going to be the main color that's going to stand out. There's that one. Next, I want to mix up a bit of a white. And again, I want quite a bit of that because I am going to use this in hopefully in little rings of color. I'm going to use some of this baby's breath from Laurasartcorner just to give it a bit of a iridescent sheen as well. Not too much. And then I'm going to use some Supreme White from Apex to create my overall white. And I don't know if this is going to work at all, guys. This is just all an experiment because I saw a paint pouring technique where they did this and it just looked really cool. So I thought, can I replicate this using just resin and this picture frame that I found in a charity shop? And there's only one way to find out, and that is to do it. Now, I'm weighing up whether I want to use 2, 3 or 4 of these cups. I think I'm going to just go with 2. So this is just the mixing of the colours. And I'm hoping this iridescent white will give us a real contrast when it's poured. But as I say, this is what resin art's all about. Having an idea, not knowing the outcome, and just going for it. Finding out what happens regardless. Being inspired by other art as well, and whatever it will be. So there's that. Now let's mix up some more of these colours. I'm gonna have some candy apple blossom in there, 100%. Now the plan is to reuse some of these cups as well. So I want some candy apple blossom, just because it is one of my favourite reds. Again, that's from Laurasartcorner. Let's fill that. I'm gonna run out of cups here, guys. So let's mix that, which should give us, again, a nice metallic red. As I'm mixing these, I'm moving them out of the way. What's that? Bit of cured resin we don't want on there. I can see some resin dripping on it already, so we're gonna have to get a move on. Plus, I don't want this resin to thicken up too much because I think that could affect this working. So there's that candy apple blossom red. I don't want this against the white because it doesn't pop as well. That's that one. I've got some, ooh, this is a random blue from Create and Bloom, which I don't think I've used before. Let's leave that one and let's use the Atlantic blue, which I actually know what it is. Again, fill a cup. And I know I've got 40-minute working time, so I'm not overly concerned at this point. The only thing that does worry me is, has that resin cured or not? Either. Hope so. Otherwise, we're going to have leaking resin mess all over my floor, which hopefully won't happen. This is that Atlantic blue from Create and Bloom. Again, gorgeous colour. It gives it a bit of a shimmer, but I don't want this to be just metallics. I want this to be a whole range of different colours. So this is Honeycomb, which is one of my favourite yellows from Create and Bloom. All right, I'm going to need to order some more of these espresso cups. Somebody remind me at the end of this video. And again, these pigment pastes, they go a long way, guys. Tiny bit like that colours all of that resin. It'll probably colour an awful lot more. But I want these effects to be quite strong. And I'm just conscious that my resin will now be warming up. But we need to mix the colours if we're going to use them. Cardinal is a different red. Let's try some of that as well. I'm going to put that upside down now. Great thing about using all your space. And again, let's use some of this cardinal in here. Beautiful. And this is almost a semi-transparent red. So again, it might give us a different effect when it's mixed with all these other colours, which hopefully it's gonna. We're gonna find out. Next cup. And this one I'm gonna go with the lighter blue, which is Seashore. And I'm sure I've got one open. Give me a sec. I haven't, but I have got a forget-me-not open, I think. Yep. So that's a really pale blue. Again, mixing it around, whatever's left on the stick will certainly be enough. This is a pale, almost baby duck egg blue, I would call it. Beautiful. And this is where I am praying to the resin gods that UV resin cured. What do I need? 1, 2, 3. It's another 6 pots. Let's go for. Hopefully I've mixed up enough resin. I think I have. I've still got some of this spare. So what I'm going to do, I think, is mix up one random colour. I've got some metallic here. I don't know if I've used this one. No, I haven't. Let's get a colour that I have used, which I know that I like. So let's use some Kingfisher. Again, I know I love the Kingfisher, and it pops really well against the black. So let's grab... Have I got another 2 cups? I have. Let's go with another 3. Why not? I'm only going to do this piece once. Look at all these colours, guys. Here we go. And anything left, I'm just going to add into this black and white, because as I say, I think I'm going to be using those the most in this overall look. And that can go upside down for a second whilst I finish mixing the colours and seeing what happens. And I'm sorry if this is a boring video because of all the mixing going off, but hey, it is what it is. So let's get some graphite. Now these are more metallic-y mica powders. And again, I don't need a lot. A couple of scoops should be enough to colour the whole pot. And this is like bluey grey. And I'm hoping that the resin is going to create a really cool effect with all of these different colours, pigments, micas, and we're going to have a really cool piece at the end of it. But there's no guarantees in resin, whatever will be. And I think a lot of it's going to be down to the order in which I pour these as well. Although with this technique, you don't really have a lot of control. And I do need a bit of gold in it, but not too much. But this is a lovely gold, which I think is a letsresin one. It is. Again, we're going to have some gold in it, just because who doesn't like gold? Again, trying to move these all out the way as I'm mixing them. Now with your golds, always make sure that you really thoroughly mix them, because otherwise you are going to get little bits float to the top and potentially ruin your piece. Sometimes it adds a really cool effect, but again, you're better off just scraping all your sides and making sure it's mixed. And as I say, that is a beautiful gold. And as I say, I'm not really going to have much control with this technique. It's going to all be down to what the resin wants to do. And then I've got some cherry, which is, again, it's almost a metallic-y type red. And I've got some bright zinnia still to go. We're getting there. Should have done this on a live, actually, thinking back. Would have been a fun one to do on a live, but hey. And do me a favour, guys. If you're liking these crazy experiments, if you're liking my content at all, just do me a favour and subscribe. It's completely free, helps support the channel, and it tells me that you're liking it. It tells YouTube that you're liking it, and hopefully spreads it to a few more people. And that way we can all learn and hopefully grow together. That is the plan. And if there's any experiments you want to see me try, stick them in comments and I'll try and make it happen over the next few weeks and months. And if you want to join memberships as well, that is also open. Great way to support the channel, and anything from that just goes towards new products, new pigments, new micas, new resins that we can keep learning together. The mica spilt off there, but it should be okay. So this is the cherry red. Then I've got the zinnia, which is a really bright pink. Again, from Create and Bloom. Beautiful. There. Have we done the Kingfisher yet? No, we haven't. So Kingfisher's next. And whatever happens, hopefully this will be a colourful piece. I'm running out of sticks at the side of me, so I'm going to snap it. And this is a beautiful, almost Tiffany green, I think I call it. Beautiful. And then I can still have another 3 colours. I think I've got 2 out. I'm going to have to grab another couple. So this is the bee's nest, which again, it's a beautiful, almost burnt orange colour, I think you'd call it. And then I've got enough for 2 more colours as well. And then we're ready to go. So sorry if you don't like watching me mix up a load of colours, but that's what I need for this project. Here we go. And then I'm going to use this mystery one, which again was from Create and Bloom, but there's no label on it, so I couldn't tell you which one it is. I think it's another blue. Again, let's mix that around. And again, it's definitely another metallic looking at it. So we've got a real mix here. of metallics, micas, and standard pigment paste. So that's going to be interesting in itself to see what happens. So I've got enough for 2 more colours. I'm just having a look. What have I got? Right, let's go for these 2, just because I picked them up first. So I've got Aqualesia, which is another purple, and I've got Spider Silk, which again is a really interesting colour. Again, it's a metallic, so make sure you mix it round. It's almost like a light silver, this Spider Silk. It's beautiful. Again, I want a decent amount of this in because it's almost going to give us a silver effect, I think. And then the Aqualesia. So I need 1 more stirring stick, and then we should be good to let the chaos begin. And as I say, I'm really just hoping that that UV resin cured. At this point, I'm starting to doubt it. This is that Aqualesia, which is a really beautiful purple, almost like a dark lavender. There we go. So I think we've got enough colours. What do you think, guys? Let's mix up these 2. And then the chaos can really start. Genuinely, it's going to be fun. And I'm just really praying that that UV has bonded the sides of this piece. And I'm only going to use 2, I've decided. 2 cups. I'm going to move these to the side. And then it's going to be about what order we do these in. Do we layer white in between each layer? Do we not? It's going to be interesting. Right, let's get everything else out the way and let the chaos begin, I think. Who's excited? I know I am. All of these different beautiful colours. Hopefully you're going to create a pretty cool effect. Let's get this out of the way as well. And I am conscious that obviously that resin has also been heating up. So I don't want that too much because I want it to stay reasonably liquidy for this to work. And I don't even know if it will. Something that I haven't tried before. Seen it on a few fluidart videos and I just thought, let's go for it. Let's see what happens. And that's the whole point in this channel for me. It's about experimenting, having fun, and we said we're going to keep 2. So these can come out the way. And always save your cups. You can always reuse them. Let the resin cure, then just peel it off. Obviously these you're going to struggle to reuse. You can reuse them for this same technique. Oh, don't tip over. Wow, this is definitely the most colours I've mixed in one video, I think. Right, running out of room here. So let's put these. In fact, which 4 am I going to pour first? Let's leave those out. Let's have a bit of a go. That one. And I think I want a lightish colour. And then let's go with a... Ooh. Right, they can be the first 4 colours. I think happy with that. And as I say, I don't think I'm going to have much control over this anyway. So, let's go with 3. 3 cups is the plan. Now, as I say, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it is going to be a fun pour, and I'm sure we'll get a result. So the black, I'm just going to pour around these, and hopefully there's enough to almost make these float. There we go. That is the black. And again, that's all the black we're going to have in this piece, or blacky blue, as we mixed. And then I can get rid of that. Goodbye. And now we're going to go in with a little splash of white, I think, with each. Literally a tiny bit in each. Then I think I'm going to go with the yellow first. Here we go. Straight into the centre. And on this one. I didn't want that to happen. Then the red. Then I'm going to go with the Spider Silk, I think. No, I'm going to go with the blue first. In fact, that was a metallic. So let's go with the non-metallic blue. And this Kingfisher is gorgeous. Here we go. And then let's go in with the blue. And I'm going to go in with a bit more of the white. There we go. Now we're starting to get some movement. Look at it. It's already starting to float. And look at this. Something's happening. Now let's go in with a different blue. Such a fun experiment there. Now let's go pink with the zinnia, I think. Look at this. It's doing something. Pink with the zinnia. Let's have a metallic next. Beautiful. Then let's have a splash of gold. Not too much because I think I'm going to want to use that again in a bit. Then we're going to go in, I think, with the red or the cardinal, but I can already see some cool patterns forming at the minute, which I'm pretty happy about. And I'm hoping that continues. And I'm hoping it doesn't leak all over my floor. More to the point. What was that red? So let's go purple. And you can see it's just releasing underneath these 3 different cups and creating this really weird, colourful design. Let's go in with the rest of the yellow. Last of the white, I think. This is looking so cool already. And I don't think we're done yet. And I've still got those colours at the side. Let me know what you're thinking in comments. This is looking so colourful. And it's just the resin doing its own thing. I have no control over this whatsoever. It's the resin doing what it wants, creating an absolutely stunning effect there. And obviously it's down to these colours, and they are amazing colours. So now I've got a couple of lighter ones left. You know that? Because I think I've used all the white anyway. But you know what? I think this is working. I think we're getting a really cool technique, which I've never done before. And I don't think I've ever seen it done before in resin, which is one of the things I'm always trying to find. Something that hasn't been done before. I'm going to put a bit of gold in, and we are going to use all of these colours. I don't want to waste them. Now we're going to go with this silvery one, which I think was the spider silk. And just look at these effects, guys. And then it's just going to be a case of making sure these pots are fully empty. And I think I'm going to finish off with the gold. So I've still got some of these reds left. Put both of those in. I think that's pretty much all of that. But so far, it seems to be working. And so far, touch wood, I don't think it's leaking. As I say, this is absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy with the way that this is looking right now. What have I got left? I've got a bit of kingfisher. I've got a tiny bit of the blue, that purple. And again, each one of these little circles is creating a slightly different pattern, which is cool. And I think over the course of a few hours, it's going to completely change what it looks like anyway. But at the minute, I hope you'll agree, it seems to be a success. What have I got? Yellow, so let's use up the rest of the yellow. I've still got a tiny bit of pink. And this, as I say, is what resinart is all about for me. And they're not quite floating the way they should, but actually that's creating a cool design and pattern that I really like. So let's scrape this out. And then I think the plan is here is I'm going to finish with the gold. Any others that I could scrape out? A few drops, why not? I'm going to scrape out the rest of any of these that I've got a tiny bit in, and then I'm going to use the last of the white, I think. But I don't want to waste even a drop of these colours, because I think they make such a difference. And I know this probably isn't the most exciting video to watch, but it is resinart, guys. All right, that's that one. Saving the gold till last. And it's just these beautiful colours and the resin doing its thing. This isn't really me doing anything. It's the resin. Let's use up the rest of this blue because I've got quite a bit. And how much simpler but fun can resinart get? It is just amazing what playing with resin can actually create. And as I say, this isn't me being an artist. This is the resin being the artist, and that's the fun bit for me, is whatever the resin gods want to happen in this piece will happen. There we go. That is that. I can move these into there now. And I'm deliberately saving the gold till last. I just want a gold shimmer in the center of these. And as I say, it's very slowly just spreading, doing its thing. And hopefully I've got enough resin in here that it will spread across the whole piece. But again, it's the first time I've done it. So if I got the measurements wrong, I wouldn't be surprised. Any more in that one? Tiny drop. But I know that I'm also approaching the end of its working time as well for this resin. So I'm getting a bit of a move on. Is there any more in here? Tiny drop. And I wish you could see what I see right now. It is absolutely phenomenal. A little drip of the pink. But this is almost like a solar nebula. It is stunning. And I'm happy I did this now. Let's add the rest of this one because this is the semi-transparent. And let me know what you think is going to happen when this cures. Are we going to get any of these cool effects? Or is it just going to be a mess? Let's have the yellow last. Guess the gold. But it's interesting at least to know that this is having the effect that I thought it was going to have. Pretty much the same as the flow art paint. If you've seen that technique done, it's very similar to this. In fact, it's probably identical, because that's where I got the idea. And I think it's becoming apparent that my table is leaning ever so slightly towards me, so I'm going to have to tilt this as well. But I am loving this technique. And as I say, I'm so glad I did this, because I was umming and ahhing. Should I pour tonight or shouldn't I? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to. And I ended up doing one of the biggest pours I've done yet, I think this is. So now I've just got the rest of that gold. And I've got a tiny bit left in there. Let's add that. And then I'm going to tilt it so hopefully we get even coverage. There we go. But what I love here is how every piece is looking different. Look at those cells starting to form now in the outer edge. a bit of gold in the center of each of these. And then that should be all the resin, pretty much. And then it's what we do next. Because I'm going to want to lift these cups out before I do anything. But look at those cells already forming on the edge. So I'm just going to get rid of these. I'm going to leave them there just to hopefully prevent me knocking them over in a minute. I'll see you guys in 1 second. Right, now I'm going to have a bag ready to get these pots straight into. And let's release the rest of that resin. 1, and this one. 2, and 3. Now I can see already that it is not covering all of that side. So I need to just tilt it ever so slightly. And actually this corner here as well. I need to get some resin in there. So this is where the tilting comes in. And it is going over the edge a little bit now. But that's okay. And if we get some coming over this edge, I'm not too fussed. So I think it will show that it's a resin piece. Now I'm going to tilt it back diagonally that way. And then I'm going to hold it there. I still need some to come down here. And I'm still noticing this corner here. So I'm going to do this corner first, because that shouldn't take a lot. And I'm loving that. And now I want to come back to this one, I think, before I go back again for that corner, which is going to pull this part out again, which I don't necessarily want. So let's get it back into the center as much as possible. And let's go that way first. And back over there. As you can see, I'm not very good at tilting or shifting. In the corner and over the edge. Beautiful, that's that corner. Now I just need to get some more over there into that edge. And then I think we're good. I'm just gonna let it settle then. Back down you come. And then back over there. Try and get some. And I want that to shift, staying in the center. If I can, bring it back. And I think this will be the last tilt. And I'll take you down for a closer look. And I think that is going to be stunning. And now what I'm going to do is very carefully on the edges, just wipe around, get most of the excess back in the actual painting itself without hopefully putting it everywhere. But again, the frame I can sort. I haven't got a problem with that. I'm probably going to re-gild it anyway, once this is cured. But again, as much of the excess as I can get off and back in, the better. I want a tiny bit, just squidging it there. There we go. And I think you'll agree this is a beautiful piece. I just hope it doesn't all leak over my living room floor now. Right, and I'm just going to give it one torch to get rid of any surface bubbles that might be in there. And I think I've got a new favourite canvas, guys. And this is going to be going on my bedroom wall. Let's see what it cures. But that I'm absolutely loving. I'm going to take you down for a closer look. What is not to love? Absolutely stunning. Let me know what you think in comments. And I'll get you some close-ups of this once it's fully cured tomorrow. And I'll also let you know if it leaked out the back. I'm hoping it doesn't. But look at it. Oh, amazing. I'll see you guys see you tomorrow when it's all fully cured. See you then.